2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 15th of September, and it's World Afro Day. And a big happy birthday to Prince Harry, Tommy Lee Jones, Jimmy Carr, and Tom Hardy.
7.
There were 26,228 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday and 185 additional deaths. Tuesday saw the government unveiling their new autumn and winter Plan A for dealing with the pandemic, and that meant Boris was back in the Big Blue briefing room. He spoke as Sage warned that the winter months could see a spike in hospitalisations that would put the NHS under severe pressure as schools return and people go back to work. Boris says the vaccination programme has made a real difference, which puts the British people in an incomparably better place to fight COVID this year.
The result of this vaccination campaign is that we have one of the most free societies and one of the most open economies in Europe. And that's why we're now sticking with our strategy. In essence, we're going to keep going.
The Plan A strategy is driven by booster shots for people aged 50 and over, those in care homes and for frontline health and social care workers. Deputy Chief Medical Officer Professor Jonathan Van Tam says it's going to make a critical difference.
So if there's good uptake, I think the booster programme will make a very substantial impact on keeping the lid on things COVID-wise in terms of hospitalisations and deaths and keeping pressure off the NHS this winter.
Meanwhile, in the House of Commons, Health Secretary Sajid Javid was laying out Plan B in the event that the campaign of booster shots fails to prevent the NHS coming under pressure in a winter wave of the pandemic. He's not suggesting lockdowns at this point, but he does suggest that work from home orders might be among the tools that the government will use.
These measures would be legally mandating face coverings in certain settings. And whilst we're not going ahead with mandatory vaccine-only COVID status certification now, we'll be holding that power in reserve.
Boris remains hopeful that Plan A will work, and he offered reassurance that even if stricter measures are required, we won't be heading back to the level we saw in winter 2020.
What I would stress about Plan B is that it contains a number of different shots in the locker. Smaller changes in the guidance, smaller changes in the way we're asking people to behave can have a bigger impact.
Chief Medical Advisor Chris Whitty was also in the Big Blue briefing room, and he was asked about Nicki Minaj's viral tweet. She said she was hesitant about the vaccine because her cousin's friend got swollen testicles and had to call off his wedding. Yeah, Chris wasn't too worried about Nicki's cousin's friend's big blue balls, though.
Many of those people, I regret to say, I think know that they are peddling untruths, but they still do it. In my view, they should be ashamed.
Unfortunately for Chris, Nicki's a big fan of the Big Blue briefing room and was watching, which inspired a truly amazing voice message directed perhaps more at Boris than Chris Whitty.
I went to school with Margaret Thatcher, and she told me so many nice things about you. I'd love to send you my portfolio of my work, since you don't know much about me. I'm a big star in the United States.
Tuesday saw a busy news day in California. Governor Gavin Newsom won his recall election, and Apple rushed to release a security patch after researchers discovered a previously unknown flaw that would allow attackers to access Apple users' iMessages. If you haven't already updated your devices, you really should. Then attention switched to the Apple September launch, which saw Tim Cook on stage to introduce the iPhone 13, with faster chip, better battery life and new colours too. The big tech innovation is a portrait cinema mode, which will mean your Christmas morning family moments will be pretty high-end, as Johnny Manzari explains.
Cinematic mode anticipates when a subject is about to enter the frame and intelligently racks focus to them when they do. To create these automatic focus changes, we extensively studied the art of cinematography and the creative choices directors of photography make to guide the viewer's attention.
Still to come on the Smart 7, fashion statements from the stars at the Met Gala and tributes to comedian MacDonald. Right after this.
You're listening to the Smart 7. If you're enjoying it, you might also like the Smart 7 Island Edition. Just search and follow us on your favourite podcast platform.
3,
The Champions League returned last night with champions Chelsea in action against Zenit St Petersburg and Man United in Switzerland for an early kick-off against Young Boys. Chelsea won 1-0 against the Russian champions with a second-half goal from Romelu Lukaku, but it didn't go as well for United, even with Ronaldo in the team. They scored early, but then had Wan-Bissaka sent off and ended up losing 2-1 after a Jesse Lingard defensive howler in the last minute. Manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was staying philosophical.
You know, it looked like a good, well-earned point and a good point in a difficult game where we, when you get the first goal, you hope and you think that you're going to create chances enough to win the game. But unfortunately, that sending off will always have an impact on the game.
Monday night saw New York's beautiful people walk the most famous red carpet in fashion as the Met Gala took place. There were some extraordinary looks in keeping with the theme of American independence. Kim Kardashian appeared in a morph suit, more or less, Lil Nas X went full-on gold armour, and Lewis Hamilton took advantage of the evening to showcase young British designers.
I'm really, really fortunate. Anna agreed to be able to host my table, and I brought 4 incredible young black talented designers. And so we've got a great host of people tonight, and it's about just highlighting beauty and excellence and talent.
The death was announced on Tuesday evening of Canadian comedian Norm MacDonald. He was 61. He was a star of Saturday Night Live and was famously deadpan in his delivery. It's worth Googling the moth joke if you've got time. He also had many movie roles, his own sitcom and Netflix talk show, and was a veteran late-night talk show guest. The one thing he wouldn't have wanted was people talking about him losing his battle with cancer. He'd been living with the disease for nearly a decade without telling a single soul. Here he is in one of his stand-up specials on just why he hated the battling cancer phrase. Rest in peace, Norm.
He was waging a brave battle, but at the end, I guess he got kind of cowardly was what happened. And then the bowel cancer, it got brave. You got to give it to the bowel cancer. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure if the cancer dies, I mean, if you die, the cancer also dies at exactly the same time. So that, to me, is not a loss, that's a draw. That's a, you know what I mean?
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.